good evening, or perhaps, good night. Wherever you are right now, allow your body to settle a little deeper into stillness. Let your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench, and your breath slow into something quiet and unhurried. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. For a while, you can simply drift, carried gently by the rhythm of distant stars. Tonight, we begin a slow journey through the Milky Way, the vast galaxy that holds our sun, our sky, and every memory you have ever known. It is not a place you need to understand all at once. It is something you can feel, like the hush of night air, or the quiet shimmer of light far beyond reach. The Milky Way stretches across space like a soft river of stars, a luminous band that ancient humans once traced across the darkness. Long before telescopes, before science gave names to things, people looked up and saw a glowing path in the sky, and wondered. In truth, that faint glowing band is not a cloud, nor a mist, but the combined light of billions upon billions of stars, so distant and so numerous that they blur into a single pale glow. Each point of light is a sun, many larger than ours, many older, each with its own silent story unfolding in the dark. Our galaxy is immense beyond ordinary imagination. If you could travel at the speed of light, faster than anything we know, it would still take around 100,000 years to cross from one side of the Milky Way to the other. And yet, even this vast span is only a small island in a much larger cosmic ocean. Somewhere within this galaxy, in one of its quiet spiral arms, lies our solar system, a small, unassuming neighborhood drifting far from the bright and crowded center. We are not at the heart of things, not in a place of special prominence, but in a common stable region where stars are spaced just far enough apart to allow planets like Earth to exist undisturbed. The Milky Way itself is shaped like a great spiral, slowly turning over immense stretches of time. Its arms curl outward from a dense central core, like soft streams of light, gently winding through the darkness. These arms are not solid structures, but patterns, waves of stars and gas moving together, forming and reforming across millions of years. At the center of the Milky Way lies something both mysterious and powerful, a supermassive black hole, known as Sagittarius A star. It does not shine like a star. Instead, it is a place where gravity becomes so strong that even light cannot escape. And yet, despite its immense influence, it remains far away from us, nearly 26,000 light-years distant, quietly anchoring the galaxy from afar. As you breathe slowly, imagine the scale of that distance, light itself, traveling at unimaginable speed, needing 26,000 years to reach you from that central point. The light entering your eyes at night may have begun its journey long before human history, before cities, before language, before memory. The stars you see are not as they are now, but as they were, each one a message sent across time. Within the Milky Way, there are hundreds of billions of stars. Some estimates suggest even more. Around many of these stars, planets orbit in silent paths, worlds of ice, rock, gas, and perhaps oceans, some warmed by distant suns, others drifting in eternal cold. Astronomers now believe that planets may be more common than stars themselves. This means that in our galaxy alone, there could be hundreds of billions of planets, each one a place, a possibility, a quiet presence in the dark. Among these countless worlds, there may be some not entirely unlike our own. Planets where liquid water flows, where atmospheres wrap gently around the surface, where chemistry takes on complex forms. Whether life exists there, we do not yet know, but the conditions are not unique to Earth. As the Milky Way slowly rotates, our solar system moves along with it, orbiting the galactic center like a leaf carried in a vast and silent current. This journey is incredibly slow. It takes about 230 million years for our Sun to complete a single orbit around the galaxy. This means that the last time our solar system was in this exact position, dinosaurs had not yet appeared on Earth. Continents were arranged differently. Life itself was still evolving in unfamiliar forms. And since then, we have traveled, quietly, steadily, through the galaxy, without ever noticing the motion. There is something deeply calming about this. Even now, as you rest, you are moving through space at incredible speed, carried by the Earth, the Sun, and the galaxy itself. And yet, everything feels still. The motion is so vast, so smooth, that it becomes indistinguishable from rest. The Milky Way is not alone. It is part of a small group of galaxies known as the Local Group, a quiet gathering of about 50 galaxies bound together by gravity. Among them is the Andromeda galaxy, a large spiral galaxy slowly drifting toward us across the darkness. But that is a story for later, a distant meeting that will unfold billions of years from now. For now, imagine the gentle glow of the Milky Way stretching overhead, a soft arc of light across the night sky. Imagine lying beneath it, far from city lights, where the stars are so numerous that the darkness itself seems to shimmer. The air is still. The world is quiet. And above you, the galaxy unfolds, not as something distant and abstract, but as something you are part of. Because you are. Every atom in your body was formed in stars, long before the Earth existed. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all of it was forged in the hearts of ancient stars that lived and died within galaxies like this one. In a very real sense, you are not just observing the Milky Way, you are made from it. And as you rest, breathing slowly, drifting gently towards sleep, you remain connected to this vast and silent structure. Not separate from it, but woven into it, a small and quiet expression of something unimaginably large. There is no need to hold on to these thoughts tightly. Let them pass through you, like starlight through the night sky. Let them soften at the edges, becoming less like ideas, and more like a feeling. A feeling of space, of distance, of calm. And as the journey continues, we will drift deeper, moving slowly through the arms of the galaxy, exploring its quiet wonders, one gentle thought at a time. As the quiet of the night deepens, and your breathing finds its own natural rhythm, we continue our slow drift through the Milky Way, not in haste, not with urgency, but with the same unhurried motion that guides the stars themselves. Far from the bright center of the galaxy, within one of its gentle spiral arms, there are vast clouds, enormous regions of gas and dust that stretch across light years of space. These are not empty places, but nurseries, places where stars are born. Within these clouds, gravity begins its quiet work. Tiny variations in density cause certain regions to gather more matter, slowly pulling gas inward. Over time, these regions grow denser, warmer, until something remarkable begins to happen. At the core of a collapsing cloud, temperature and pressure rise to extraordinary levels, and eventually, nuclear fusion ignites. A star is born. At first, it shines softly, still wrapped in the remnants of the cloud that created it. Over time, stellar winds push that material away, revealing a new light in the galaxy, a point of warmth in the vast cold of space. Many stars are born not alone, but in clusters, groups of siblings formed from the same cloud, drifting together through space for millions of years before slowly dispersing. Our own sun may have once been part of such a cluster, long ago, its siblings now scattered across the galaxy, unrecognizable and distant. These stellar nurseries can be incredibly beautiful. Though they are far beyond human reach, telescopes reveal them as glowing regions of color and light, soft pinks, deep blues, gentle violets, the result of energetic radiation interacting with gas. They are among the most peaceful-looking structures in the universe, even though they are places of immense energy and transformation. Within these regions, not all material becomes stars. Some of it remains behind, forming disks of gas and dust that swirl around young stars. Over time, particles within these disks collide and stick together, forming larger and larger bodies, from grains of dust to rocks, from rocks to planetesimals, and eventually, to planets. This is how planetary systems form, not suddenly, but gradually, through countless gentle collisions and slow accumulation. It is a process that can take millions of years, unfolding quietly in the darkness. Some of these forming planets drift close to their stars, becoming hot, rocky worlds. Others remain far away, gathering thick atmospheres of gas, becoming giants like Jupiter or Saturn. And some settle into a delicate balance, at just the right distance, where temperatures allow liquid water to exist. In the Milky Way, this process is happening constantly. Even now, as you rest, new stars are igniting, new planets are forming, new systems are taking shape in the quiet corners of the galaxy. There are regions where star formation is especially active, places where clouds are dense and conditions are just right. One such region lies within the Orion Arm, the same spiral arm that holds our solar system. It is a reminder that even within our own galactic neighborhood, creation is ongoing. But not all stars live long lives. The lifespan of a star depends largely on its mass. Smaller stars burn their fuel slowly, shining steadily for tens or even hundreds of billions of years. Larger stars, by contrast, live fast and bright, exhausting their fuel in just a few million years. When a massive star reaches the end of its life, something dramatic can occur. The balance between outward pressure and inward gravity collapses, and the star can explode in a supernova, a sudden and powerful release of energy that briefly outshines entire galaxies. These explosions scatter heavy elements into space, elements that were formed deep within the star during its lifetime. Iron, gold, uranium, all of these are created in such extreme events. They drift outward, becoming part of new clouds, new stars, new planets. In this way, the galaxy is constantly recycling itself. Stars are born, live, and die, and from their remnants, new stars and worlds emerge. It is a slow, continuous cycle, one that has been unfolding for billions of years. Our own sun is a relatively calm star, somewhere in the middle of its life. It has been shining for about 4.6 billion years and is expected to continue for roughly another 5 billion. It does not burn too fast, nor too slowly, providing a stable source of energy that has allowed life on Earth to develop over immense spans of time. If you imagine the timeline of the galaxy compressed into a single day, the formation of our solar system would occur late in the evening, and human history would occupy only the final seconds before midnight. A brief flicker within an already vast story. And yet, here you are, aware of the stars, able to think about them, to imagine them, to feel their quiet presence. There is something gentle in that awareness. Something that does not demand attention, but invites it, like the soft glow of distant light. As you continue to relax, imagine drifting through one of these stellar nurseries, not as a body, but as a point of awareness, moving slowly through clouds of gas that stretch endlessly in all directions. The light is diffuse, glowing softly through the mist. There is no sound, only a sense of vast stillness. In the distance, new stars begin to shine, faint at first, then growing brighter as they clear the surrounding dust. Around them, disks of material spin quietly, forming the beginnings of worlds that may one day hold oceans, atmospheres, perhaps even life. Time moves differently here. Not in seconds or minutes, but in millions of years. Changes are slow, almost imperceptible, yet constant. A cloud shifts. A star ignites. A planet forms. And through it all, the galaxy continues its gentle rotation, carrying everything within it along vast, graceful paths. Even the light you imagine here has a history. It travels across space, interacting with particles, scattering, shifting in color and intensity. Some of it will never reach another star. Some of it will wander for millions of years before fading into the background of the universe. Light does not hurry. It simply moves, steadily, endlessly, until something changes. In many ways, the Milky Way is less like a static structure and more like a living system, not alive in the biological sense, but dynamic, evolving, interconnected. Every part influences every other, through gravity, radiation, motion. Yet despite all this activity, from a distance, it appears calm. A soft spiral of light, suspended in darkness, unchanging to the casual observer. There is a quiet lesson in that. Things can be moving, changing, evolving, even when they feel still. And as your thoughts begin to slow, becoming softer and less defined, you may notice a similar pattern within yourself. Beneath the surface, processes continue, your body regulating, your mind drifting, while on the surface, everything becomes quiet. There is no need to follow every thought. Let them pass, like distant stars slipping through the edge of vision. You are simply here, resting within a much larger motion. And as we continue, we will drift further still, deeper into the structure of the Milky Way, where stars gather more densely, and the glow of the galaxy becomes richer and more mysterious. As your breathing becomes softer, slower, and more even, we drift gently onward, leaving behind the quiet stellar nurseries and moving gradually toward denser regions of the Milky Way, where the glow of stars becomes richer, more concentrated, like a distant city of light seen through a calm night. The spiral arms we have been traveling through are not evenly filled. Some regions are sparse, where stars are separated by vast distances, while others grow gradually more crowded, with stars appearing closer together, their light overlapping in soft layers. These denser regions create a subtle brightness, a kind of galactic glow that deepens as we move inward. If you could look up from a planet closer to the center of the Milky Way, the night sky would feel very different. Instead of a scattering of stars across darkness, the sky might appear filled, almost luminous, with countless stars shining so closely together that shadows would exist even at night. But here, where we began, in the outer regions of the galaxy, things are quieter, more spacious, and perhaps more peaceful. Between the stars, there is not absolute emptiness. Space within the galaxy contains a thin distribution of gas and dust known as the interstellar medium. though it is incredibly sparse by earthly standards, spread over vast distances, it becomes an important part of the galaxy's structure. This interstellar material can absorb and scatter light, creating dark regions within the Milky Way when viewed from afar. These appear as soft, shadowy lanes cutting through the brighter star fields, not because there are no stars there, but because their light is gently obscured. These dark lanes are rich with potential. Hidden within them are the ingredients for future stars and planets, waiting for the slow pull of gravity to begin the process once again. As we drift deeper, we encounter star clusters, groups of stars that remain bound together by gravity. Some are open clusters, relatively young and loosely arranged, their stars still carrying the memory of their shared origin. Others are globular clusters, ancient, dense spheres containing hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of stars. Globular clusters are among the oldest structures in the Milky Way. Many formed early in the galaxy's history, over 10 billion years ago. They orbit the galactic center in extended halos, moving in graceful, elongated paths that carry them far above and below the galactic disk. Inside a globular cluster, the sky would be astonishing. Stars would be so numerous and so close that darkness would be rare. The entire sky might glow softly, with countless points of light overlapping, a constant, gentle brightness surrounding you. And yet, even there, distances between stars remain vast enough that collisions are extremely rare. The universe, even in its densest regions, is mostly space. As the Milky Way formed long ago, smaller structures merged together, drawn by gravity, building the larger galaxy we now inhabit. Some of these mergers left behind streams of stars, long, faint trails stretching across the galaxy, remnants of smaller galaxies that were slowly absorbed. Even now, the Milky Way continues to interact with its surroundings. It gently pulls in smaller companion galaxies, stretching them, reshaping them, incorporating their stars into its own vast structure. These processes unfold over billions of years, far beyond the pace of human life. And yet, they are happening, even now. Our galaxy is not fixed. It grows, evolves, changes, slowly, quietly, but continuously. As you rest, imagine drifting past one of these ancient globular clusters. From a distance, it appears as a soft sphere of golden light, suspended in darkness. As you move closer, the individual stars become visible, countless suns, each shining steadily, each separated by immense space, yet held together in a delicate gravitational balance. These stars are older than our Sun. Many have witnessed nearly the entire history of the galaxy, from its early formation to its present state. Their light carries with it a deep sense of time, not urgent, not fleeting, but vast and patient. Time, in the Milky Way, moves differently. A single human lifetime is like a brief flicker compared to the lifespan of a star. Civilizations rise and fall in moments, while galaxies continue their slow rotations, largely unchanged. And yet, within that brief flicker, awareness emerges, the ability to look outward, to wonder, to imagine. That awareness is quiet now, softening, like the light of evening fading into night. As we continue inward, the density of stars increases further. The spiral arms become less defined, blending into a more continuous distribution of light. The galaxy's central region begins to glow more brightly, a dense concentration of stars forming what is known as the galactic bulge. This bulge is different from the spiral arms. It contains older stars, many of them redder, cooler, stars that have been shining for billions of years. The structure here is more rounded, less organized into arms, more like a soft sphere of light surrounding the center. The closer we move, the brighter it becomes, but also more complex. Orbits of stars are less uniform, moving in many directions, weaving through each other in intricate paths governed by gravity. And at the very heart of this region lies the unseen presence we mentioned earlier, the supermassive black hole. It does not glow on its own, but its influence shapes the motion of stars nearby, pulling them into fast, tight orbits. Some stars move so quickly around this central point that their motion can be observed and measured, revealing the immense mass hidden there. Despite its power, this black hole does not consume the galaxy. It is not a cosmic vacuum pulling everything inward. Most stars, including our Sun, are far too distant to be affected in any noticeable way. It simply exists, a dense point of gravity at the center, around which the galaxy gently turns. There is something quiet about that idea. Even the most powerful objects in the universe do not disrupt everything around them. They coexist within a larger balance, part of a system that continues to move, to evolve. As your thoughts drift, becoming lighter, less structured, imagine the entire Milky Way from a distance, a vast spiral of light, slowly rotating in the darkness. Its arms extend outward in graceful curves, dotted with stars, threaded with clouds of gas and dust. From this perspective, everything feels calm, unified, whole. There are no individual worries here, no separate moments, just a continuous flow of motion and light. And within that immense structure, somewhere along one of those quiet arms, a small blue planet turns slowly around a modest star, carrying oceans, clouds, and life. Carrying you. You are not separate from this vast system. You are part of it, moving with it, shaped by it, composed of the same elements that were formed in ancient stars long before the Earth existed. There is no need to hold on to that thought. Let it settle gently, like dust in still air. Let your awareness soften further, like the fading glow of a distant star. And as we continue this quiet journey, we will move even closer to the heart of the galaxy, where light becomes dense, and motion becomes more intricate, yet still, somehow, calm. Now, as your body grows heavier and your thoughts begin to loosen their edges, we continue our quiet approach toward the inner regions of the Milky Way, where the glow of countless stars blends into something almost continuous, like a soft, golden haze suspended in darkness. Here, in the galactic bulge, the night is never truly dark. Stars fill the sky in every direction, layered upon one another, their light merging into a gentle radiance that seems to come from everywhere at once. There is no single source, no single point to focus on, just a steady, surrounding presence of light. Most of these stars are old, far older than our Sun. Many formed in the early history of the galaxy, when the Milky Way itself was still taking shape. They have burned quietly for billions of years, evolving slowly, steadily, carrying within them a record of the galaxy's past. Some of these stars are red giants, stars that have entered a later stage of life, expanding outward as their internal processes change. Their light is softer, warmer in color, casting a kind of gentle glow that feels almost calm, even from unimaginable distances. If you could drift here, among them, you would notice something unusual. The sky would not change quickly. The stars move, of course, but their motion is slow, subtle, unfolding over timescales far beyond human perception. Constellations, as we know them, would not exist in the same way. Patterns would shift gradually, almost imperceptibly, like the slow drift of clouds over centuries. And yet, beneath this calm appearance, motion is everywhere. Stars orbit the galactic center in complex paths, not in perfect circles, but in elongated loops, weaving through space, influenced by the combined gravity of billions of other stars, clouds of gas, and the central black hole itself. Each star follows its own path, yet together they form a coherent structure, a dynamic equilibrium that persists over immense spans of time. At the very center of this structure lies the region surrounding Sagittarius A*, the supermassive black hole that anchors the galaxy. Though it remains invisible, its presence is revealed through motion. Stars closest to it move incredibly fast, some completing an orbit in just a few decades. These stars, observed from Earth through careful measurement, trace out paths that confirm the existence of something extraordinarily massive and compact at the center. But even here, near one of the most extreme objects in the galaxy, there is no chaos in the way we might imagine. The motions are precise, governed by gravity, predictable over time. There is intensity, yes, but also order. Around the black hole, gas and dust sometimes gather into an accretion disk, a swirling structure where material spirals inward, heating up as it does. Occasionally, this process releases bursts of energy, flashes of radiation that can be detected across vast distances. Yet these events are not constant. Much of the time, the center of the Milky Way remains relatively quiet, its immense power held in balance. As you continue to relax, imagine observing this region from a safe and distant vantage point, far enough away that the intensity softens into something gentle, something almost serene. The dense star fields glow softly, and the central region appears as a brighter core, a luminous heart within the spiral. Beyond the bulge, the spiral arms extend outward once more, curving gracefully, filled with younger stars, clusters, and nebulae. From above, the entire galaxy resembles a vast, rotating pattern, elegant and continuous. The Milky Way completes one full rotation slowly, taking hundreds of millions of years. This rotation is not rigid, different parts move at different speeds. The inner regions rotate more quickly than the outer ones, creating a subtle stretching effect that helps maintain the spiral structure over time. This differential rotation is part of what gives the galaxy its shape, a balance between gravity pulling inward and motion carrying stars along their paths. And yet, despite all this movement, the galaxy appears stable. It does not unravel. It does not collapse. It persists, maintaining its form through a delicate interplay of forces. There is something deeply calming in that balance. Even in a system so vast, so complex, there exists a kind of quiet stability, not static, but sustained. As your thoughts continue to slow, you may begin to notice the spaces between them, the gentle pauses, like the spaces between stars. These pauses grow longer, softer, allowing your mind to rest. In the Milky Way, there are regions known as voids, areas where stars are less common, where the density drops and the darkness deepens. These are not empty in an absolute sense, but they feel more open, more spacious. Drifting through such a region, you would see fewer stars, more darkness, but also a clearer view of distant structures. The galaxy would appear as a soft band across the sky, while beyond it, other galaxies might be faintly visible, small, distant smudges of light, each one its own vast system. This reminds us that the Milky Way is not the entire universe, only one galaxy among billions. Beyond it lies an even greater expanse, a cosmic web of galaxies, clusters, and voids stretching across unimaginable distances. But for now, we remain here, within our own galaxy, moving gently, without urgency. Somewhere along one of the outer spiral arms, far from the dense center, the sun continues its steady journey. It carries with it a small collection of planets, each one following its own quiet orbit. On one of those planets, oceans reflect the light of a nearby star. Winds move softly across continents. Clouds form and dissolve. Life, in countless forms, continues its delicate processes, breathing, growing, resting. And among that life, there is a moment like this one, where everything slows down. Where awareness softens, and the vastness of the galaxy becomes something you don't need to grasp, only to gently feel. You are still moving, of course, carried by the Earth as it rotates, by the Earth as it orbits the Sun, by the Sun as it orbits the galaxy. All of this motion continues, smoothly, silently. But within that motion, there is stillness. A kind of stillness that does not depend on stopping, but on allowing things to be as they are. The stars do not rush. The galaxy does not hurry. And neither do you need to. Let your breath continue, slow and natural. Let your thoughts drift further apart, like stars in a quiet region of space. And as we move gently onward, we will begin to explore some of the more subtle features of the Milky Way, the faint structures, the hidden patterns, the quiet details that often go unnoticed, but are always there, waiting in the background. As the quiet deepens and your awareness becomes softer, more distant, we continue drifting, not toward anything urgent, but simply along the gentle pathways of the Milky Way, where even the smallest details carry a quiet kind of wonder. Beyond the brighter stars and glowing regions, there are subtle structures that are not immediately visible, delicate patterns hidden within the galaxy's vastness. These are streams of stars, faint and elongated, stretching across space like soft trails left behind by time itself. They are the remnants of smaller galaxies that once wandered too close, drawn in slowly by the Milky Way's gravity. Over millions and billions of years, these smaller galaxies were gently pulled apart, their stars spreading out along their original paths, forming thin, shimmering streams that still orbit the galactic center. Even now, these streams persist, quiet evidence that the galaxy is not fixed, but shaped by a long history of interaction and change. If you imagine drifting alongside one of these streams, you would see stars moving together in the same direction, not bound tightly like a cluster, but loosely connected, sharing a common motion through space. Their origin, though long past, is still written into their path. Some of these stars carry slightly different compositions than those formed within the Milky Way itself. By studying their light, astronomers can trace their origins, identifying which stars came from distant galaxies that no longer exist as separate systems. In this way, the Milky Way is not just a single structure, but a collection of histories, layered together over time. As we drift further, we encounter regions where the interstellar medium becomes more active. Here, shockwaves from past supernovae ripple through space, compressing gas and dust, sometimes triggering new waves of star formation. These shockwaves move silently through the vacuum, carrying energy across light years, shaping the structure of the galaxy in subtle ways. Though there is no sound in space, these events still have a rhythm, a pattern of expansion and interaction that unfolds slowly, like ripples on an immense and invisible surface. Some of the gas in these regions becomes ionized, energized by nearby stars, causing it to glow faintly. These glowing clouds are known as emission nebulae, and they often mark areas where new stars are being born. Their light is soft, diffuse, spreading outward in gentle hues. Nearby, there are also reflection nebulae, clouds that do not emit their own light, but reflect the light of nearby stars. Their glow is softer, often bluish, created by the scattering of shorter wavelengths of light. They appear almost like faint echoes, subtle reminders of the stars that illuminate them. And then there are dark nebulae, dense clouds that block light entirely, appearing as deep shadows against the brighter background of the galaxy. These regions can feel especially calm, like quiet pockets where light itself pauses. Within these dark clouds, the conditions are often just right for new stars to begin forming. Hidden from view, the process unfolds slowly, gravity gathering material, temperature rising, until, once again, a new star ignites. This cycle, formation, evolution, and renewal, continues throughout the galaxy, never rushing, never stopping. As your mind continues to settle, imagine moving gently through one of these dark nebulae. There is no visible light here, only a deep, comforting darkness. And yet, within that darkness, there is potential, the quiet beginnings of something that will one day shine. Not all stars shine steadily. Some vary in brightness over time. These are known as variable stars, and their light pulses gently, rising and falling in predictable rhythms. Some expand and contract, changing their luminosity as their outer layers shift. Others are part of binary systems, where two stars orbit each other, occasionally passing in front of one another and causing dips in brightness. These subtle variations can be measured, studied, and used to understand distances across the galaxy. Certain types of variable stars act as cosmic markers, helping astronomers map the vast structure of the Milky Way. Even in their quiet flickering, they serve a purpose, offering clues about the scale of the universe. There are also binary star systems, where two stars orbit a common center of mass. These systems are quite common in the galaxy. In some cases, the stars are similar in size, circling each other in balanced motion. In others, one star may be much larger or more evolved, influencing its companion in complex ways. In rare cases, material from one star can flow toward the other, forming a bright, swirling disk. These interactions can produce bursts of light, sudden, temporary increases in brightness that fade over time. But most binary systems are calm, their motion steady, their light consistent, their presence quiet. As we continue drifting, we begin to notice something else, a faint, nearly invisible structure surrounding the Milky Way. This is the galactic halo, a vast, spherical region extending far beyond the visible disk. The halo contains old stars, globular clusters, and something even more mysterious, dark matter. Dark matter does not emit light. It does not reflect it. It cannot be seen directly. And yet, its presence is inferred through its gravitational effects. The way stars move within the galaxy suggests that there is more mass present than we can observe, a hidden component shaping the motion of everything we see. This unseen matter forms a kind of scaffold, helping to hold the galaxy together, influencing its rotation and structure. Without it, the Milky Way might not have formed in the way it did. And yet, we do not know exactly what dark matter is. It remains one of the great mysteries of modern science, a quiet, invisible presence that surrounds us, influences us, but remains beyond direct perception. There is something strangely peaceful about that, the idea that even in a universe we study so carefully, there are still unknowns, still mysteries that remain open, unresolved. You do not need to understand them. You can simply let them exist, like distant stars beyond the edge of vision. As your awareness continues to soften, imagine the entire Milky Way once more, not just its bright stars, but its faint structures, its hidden clouds, its invisible halo, all part of a single, vast system. Everything connected, everything moving, everything unfolding slowly, gently. And within it, a small, quiet planet continues its orbit, carrying oceans, mountains, forests, and a moment of stillness like this one. There is no need to follow every detail. Let the images fade gently, like starlight dissolving into the night. Let your thoughts grow quieter, more distant, like the faintest stars at the edge of the galaxy. And as we continue, we will drift even further, exploring the outer boundaries of the Milky Way, where the galaxy begins to thin, and the darkness beyond becomes deeper, wider, and even more calm. Now, as your body feels heavier and your thoughts move more slowly, we drift outward, away from the brighter inner regions of the Milky Way, toward its quiet edges, where the galaxy begins to thin, and the darkness beyond becomes deeper, softer, more open. Here, the stars grow more distant from one another. The dense glow of the galactic center fades behind us, becoming a gentle, diffuse brightness across the sky, like a memory of light rather than something immediate. Ahead, there is more space, more stillness. The outer regions of the Milky Way are not sharply defined. There is no clear boundary where the galaxy suddenly ends. Instead, the density of stars gradually decreases, blending into the surrounding darkness. It is a slow transition, from many stars to fewer, from brightness to quiet. Even here, far from the center, stars continue to orbit the galaxy, carried along by gravity in wide, gentle paths. These outer orbits take even longer to complete, sometimes hundreds of millions of years more than those closer in. Everything moves more slowly here, more softly. Some stars in these regions are solitary, drifting through vast stretches of space with no nearby companions. Others are part of small groups, loosely bound, moving together through the outer halo. There are also stars that do not follow the main disk at all. They travel in long, tilted orbits, passing through the galaxy at angles, moving up and down through the galactic plane. Their paths are reminders that the Milky Way is not flat in a simple sense, but layered, extended, complex. Beyond the visible stars, the galactic halo continues, a vast, nearly invisible sphere extending far beyond the luminous disk. It contains ancient stars and globular clusters, but also something much more extensive, the dark matter halo, stretching even further into space. This halo reaches far beyond what we can see, holding the galaxy together with its unseen mass. Though it emits no light, its presence shapes everything, guiding the motion of stars even here, at the edge. As you drift through this region, imagine the sky around you. The Milky Way appears as a distant band of light now, thinner, more delicate, stretching across the darkness like a soft, glowing ribbon. Beyond it, the rest of the universe begins to reveal itself more clearly. Other galaxies, faint, distant, appear as tiny smudges of light, barely visible, yet each one containing billions of stars. They are scattered across the sky in all directions, separated by immense distances, quiet islands in an even greater ocean. The space between galaxies is far more empty than the space within them. Distances here are so vast that even light takes millions of years to travel from one galaxy to another. And yet, over time, gravity continues its gentle work, drawing structures together, shaping the large-scale pattern of the universe. The Milky Way itself is moving through this cosmic landscape, along with its neighboring galaxies. It is not stationary. It drifts, slowly, steadily, influenced by the gravity of other galaxies and clusters. Among these neighbors is the Andromeda galaxy, slowly approaching us across the darkness. Its light, faint but steady, has been traveling for about 2.5 million years to reach us. What we see of it now is a reflection of its past, just as our own galaxy appears to it. But there is no urgency in this motion. The approach is slow, so gradual that it unfolds over billions of years. When the two galaxies eventually meet, it will not be a sudden collision, but a long, drawn-out interaction, stars passing by one another, structures merging slowly, reshaping over time. Even in such a grand event, the vast distances between stars mean that direct collisions are unlikely. The galaxies will blend, not crash, forming a new structure, a new pattern, continuing this cycle of cosmic evolution. For now, though, the Milky Way remains as it is, a quiet spiral drifting through space. As your mind becomes more distant, more relaxed, imagine yourself at the very edge of this galaxy, looking back at it from afar. The entire Milky Way is visible now, a soft, luminous disk with a glowing center and faint spiral arms extending outward. It turns slowly, almost imperceptibly, like a great wheel of light suspended in darkness. From this distance, there is no noise, no movement that can be felt, only the visual suggestion of motion, the gentle rotation of something vast and calm. You can see how small any single part of it is, how even entire star systems are just tiny points within the whole. And yet, each of those points contains its own complexity, its own quiet processes, including the one you come from. There is something grounding in this perspective. Not diminishing, but softening, placing everything into a broader context, where urgency fades and space expands. As you continue to rest, your thoughts may begin to drift further apart, like the stars in this outer region. There is more space between them now, more quiet in between. Let that space grow. Let your awareness rest in it, without needing to fill it. The universe does not rush to fill its emptiness. It allows space to exist, vast, open, calm. And you can do the same. There is no need to hold on to every image, every idea. Let them pass gently, fading as they move further away, like distant galaxies slipping beyond view. Your breathing continues, steady and soft, a quiet rhythm within a much larger stillness. And as we continue this slow journey, we will begin to explore not just the structure of the Milky Way, but the deeper nature of the light that travels through it, the photons that cross these immense distances, carrying with them the quiet stories of stars. As the stillness deepens and your breath settles into a soft, steady rhythm, we continue drifting, not through matter now, but through something even more subtle, the quiet presence of light itself. Light moves through the Milky Way endlessly, crossing vast distances without pause, without sound, without effort. It does not tire, does not slow, does not hesitate. Once created, it simply travels, carrying with it a trace of where it came from. Every star in the galaxy is a source of this light, a constant release of energy born from nuclear fusion deep within its core. In these dense, hot interiors, atoms are pressed together, forming heavier elements and releasing enormous amounts of energy in the process. This energy begins a long journey outward, moving slowly through the layers of the star before finally escaping into space as light. For a photon born in the core of a star, this journey outward is not quick. It can take thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years to reach the surface. Along the way, it is absorbed and re-emitted countless times, changing direction again and again, until eventually, it finds its way free. And then, at last, it begins its silent journey across space. Once it leaves the star, it travels in a straight line, moving at the fastest speed known in the universe. In just over 8 minutes, light from our sun reaches Earth, warming its surface, illuminating its skies, sustaining life in ways both visible and unseen. But light from more distant stars travels much longer. The glow you might see in the night sky could have begun its journey years, decades, centuries ago, depending on how far away the star is. Some of the faintest stars visible to the human eye are hundreds or even thousands of light years away. Their light has been traveling across space for longer than recorded history, arriving quietly, unnoticed, until it reaches your eyes. In this way, to look at the stars is to look into the past. You are not seeing them as they are now, but as they were when their light began its journey. Some of those stars may have changed since then, some may no longer even exist. But their light continues, carrying a memory across time. There is something deeply calm in that idea, that even after something has changed, its light can continue, gently moving forward, reaching distant places. As we drift through the outer reaches of the galaxy, imagine these countless streams of light crossing through space in all directions. They do not collide, do not interfere in any chaotic way, they pass through one another, overlapping, continuing on their paths without disturbance. The universe is filled with these invisible currents, a constant flow of photons moving silently through the dark. Some of this light interacts with the interstellar medium, scattering off tiny particles of dust, changing direction slightly, softening in intensity. This is part of what gives nebulae their gentle glow, light diffused through clouds, spreading out in quiet, luminous patterns. Other photons travel uninterrupted for millions of years, crossing the vast emptiness between stars, between galaxies, until, perhaps, they encounter something, a planet, a telescope, an eye. And in that brief moment of interaction, something remarkable happens. Light becomes perception. Energy becomes awareness. Without light, the universe would still exist, but it would be hidden. Light allows structures to be seen, distances to be measured, patterns to be understood. It reveals, softly, without urgency. Even the colors we associate with stars are part of this quiet communication. A star's color reveals its temperature. Cooler stars glow red or orange, their light softer, more subdued. Hotter stars shine blue or white, their energy more intense, their light sharper. Our sun, with its steady yellow-white glow, sits somewhere in between, balanced, consistent, calm. As your thoughts continue to slow, imagine drifting alongside a beam of light, not moving quickly, but simply observing its path. It leaves a distant star, traveling outward into space, passing through regions of gas and dust, slipping between stars, crossing silent distances. It does not know where it will end. It does not need to. It simply moves. And in that movement, it carries information about the star it came from, about the space it passed through, about the universe itself. Astronomers study this light carefully, breaking it into its component wavelengths, examining the subtle patterns within it. These patterns, known as spectra, reveal the chemical composition of stars, their temperatures, their motion. Even without traveling to the stars, we learn from their light. We listen, in a sense, not with ears, but with instruments, reading the quiet messages carried across space. There are also forms of light beyond what the human eye can see. Infrared light, radio waves, ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, all part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Each type reveals different aspects of the galaxy. Infrared light can pass through dust clouds, allowing us to see into regions otherwise hidden. Radio waves reveal large-scale structures, mapping the distribution of gas across the galaxy. X-rays highlight energetic events, such as supernova remnants or regions near black holes. The Milky Way, when observed across all these wavelengths, becomes even more complex, layered, rich with detail. But you do not need to hold all of that in focus. Let it soften, like light fading at the edge of vision. As you continue to relax, imagine the gentle glow of the galaxy not as something sharp or detailed, but as something soft, diffuse, like a quiet illumination that surrounds you without demanding attention. Light does not rush. It does not push. It simply arrives when it arrives. And in the same way, there is no need for your thoughts to arrive anywhere specific. They can drift, slowly, gently, moving without direction, without urgency. Your breathing continues, steady and calm, a quiet rhythm within the vast stillness. And as we drift further, we will begin to explore the subtle motions within the galaxy, not just the movement of stars, but the deeper patterns of gravity that guide everything, quietly, invisibly, holding the Milky Way together. As your breathing becomes even softer, almost blending into the silence around you, we continue drifting, carried now not by light, but by something more subtle still, the quiet, invisible influence of gravity. Gravity is the gentle architect of the Milky Way. It does not shine, does not speak, does not draw attention to itself. And yet, it shapes everything, guiding the motion of stars, holding galaxies together, tracing invisible pathways through space. Every star you have imagined so far, every cloud of gas, every faint structure, all are moving under the influence of gravity. It is not a force that pulls suddenly or violently, but one that acts continuously, patiently, over immense spans of time. Within the galaxy, gravity binds stars into orbits around the center. These orbits are not perfect circles, but gentle ellipses, each one slightly different, each one influenced by the mass of everything else nearby. The result is a complex, flowing pattern, like countless threads weaving through space. And yet, despite this complexity, there is balance. Stars do not spiral inward toward the center, nor do they drift away into the void. Their motion carries them forward, while gravity draws them inward, and between these two tendencies, a stable path emerges. It is a quiet equilibrium, one that allows the galaxy to exist as a coherent whole. As you rest, imagine one of these stars, far from the center, moving along its path. It does not feel the full weight of the galaxy at once, only the gentle pull of gravity guiding it forward. There is no resistance, no effort, just motion, smooth and continuous. In this way, the galaxy is less like a rigid structure and more like a slow, flowing system, constantly in motion, yet never chaotic. Gravity also shapes the formation of stars. In the great clouds of gas and dust we passed earlier, it is gravity that begins the process of collapse, drawing matter inward, increasing density, allowing new stars to form. Without gravity, these clouds would remain diffuse, scattered, never gathering into anything luminous. Even on the scale of planets and moons, gravity maintains quiet order. It keeps planets in orbit around stars, moons in orbit around planets, and even holds atmospheres close to planetary surfaces. It is always present, always acting, yet almost impossible to feel directly in the vastness of space. There is something calming about that, a force that does not demand attention, but provides structure, something steady beneath everything else. In the Milky Way, gravity does more than guide individual stars. It also shapes the large-scale structure of the galaxy itself. The spiral arms, though not fixed objects, are patterns influenced by gravitational interactions, regions where stars and gas temporarily gather more densely before moving on. These arms are like slow-moving waves, not made of the same stars all the time, but maintained by the overall motion of the galaxy. Stars enter the arms, spend time within them, and eventually move on, continuing their orbit. So the spiral shape persists, even though its individual components are always changing. As you drift further into relaxation, imagine these spiral arms from above, soft, glowing arcs extending outward, gently curving through space. They do not spin quickly. Their motion is slow, almost imperceptible, like the turning of something vast and ancient. Gravity also governs interactions between galaxies. The Milky Way is not isolated, it is part of a gravitational network, connected to other galaxies through invisible threads of influence. Over time, these interactions can draw galaxies closer together, leading to mergers that reshape their structure. But these events unfold over billions of years, far beyond any immediate concern. In the present moment, the Milky Way remains stable, its stars following their paths, its structure intact. Even within smaller systems, gravity creates intricate patterns. In binary star systems, two stars orbit each other, tracing elegant loops around a shared center. In more complex systems, multiple stars can form dynamic arrangements, their paths intertwining in ways that are both predictable and delicate. These systems are not random. They follow precise mathematical relationships, governed by the laws of motion and gravity, laws that remain consistent across the universe. And yet, despite this precision, there is a softness to the outcome, a kind of quiet beauty in the way these motions unfold. As your thoughts continue to slow, imagine yourself drifting within this field of influence, not resisting, not directing, simply carried along by the gentle pull of something vast and steady. There is no need to control anything here. Everything is already in motion, already balanced. Even the most complex systems find their way into patterns, into rhythms that persist over time. Your own body, in its quiet state of rest, reflects something similar. Your breath continues without effort. Your heart beats steadily. Processes unfold beneath awareness, maintaining balance, sustaining life. You do not need to guide them. You can simply rest. Gravity, in its own way, allows the universe to rest, not by stopping motion, but by shaping it into something coherent, something stable. As we move further outward once more, the influence of the Milky Way begins to soften. The gravitational pull is still there, but weaker, more subtle. Stars in these regions move in wide, slow orbits, barely held, yet still connected. Beyond this, in the space between galaxies, gravity becomes even more diffuse, spread across immense distances. And yet, even there, it continues, linking structures together, guiding the formation of clusters, shaping the large-scale structure of the cosmos. Nothing is entirely separate. Everything is connected, even if the connections are gentle, even if they cannot be seen. As your awareness drifts, becoming lighter, more distant, you may begin to feel that sense of connection not as a thought, but as a quiet presence, something that does not need to be defined. The Milky Way, with all its stars and structures, is held together by something invisible, something calm, continuous, and patient. And within that vast system, you remain, not separate, not outside, but part of the same gentle balance. Let that idea settle softly, without needing to hold on to it. Let your thoughts drift further apart, like stars moving slowly through space. And as we continue, we will begin to explore the passage of time within the Milky Way, not as something counted in seconds, but as something vast, stretching across billions of years, unfolding quietly, like everything else in this endless night. As the quiet deepens further, and your thoughts begin to fade into softer, slower patterns, we drift gently into something even more expansive, the passage of time within the Milky Way. Time here does not move in moments you can easily feel. It does not tick or pulse in any noticeable way. Instead, it stretches, vast and continuous, like the galaxy itself. In your everyday life, time is measured in seconds, minutes, hours, small, precise units that guide movement and action. But within the Milky Way, time unfolds on scales so large that those units begin to lose their meaning. A single orbit of our Sun around the galaxy takes about 230 million years. This journey, sometimes called a galactic year, is so long that it is difficult to fully grasp. Entire species rise and disappear in a fraction of that time. Continents shift, climates change, life evolves, all while the Sun continues its slow, steady path. Since its formation, the Sun has completed only about 20 orbits around the Milky Way. Just 20. Before that, the galaxy had already existed for billions of years, forming stars, shaping its structure, evolving quietly in the darkness. If you imagine the entire history of the Milky Way compressed into a single day, the formation of the Sun would occur late in the evening, and human civilization would appear only in the final moments before midnight. A brief flicker of awareness within a long, unfolding story. And yet, that brief flicker contains perception, curiosity, the ability to reflect on the galaxy itself. There is something calm in that perspective. Not diminishing, but widening, allowing space for everything to exist without urgency. As you rest, imagine time in the galaxy not as a sequence of events, but as a slow, flowing presence, like a current moving gently through everything. Stars are born, but not suddenly. Their formation takes millions of years, as clouds collapse and heat builds gradually. Their lives unfold over billions of years, burning steadily, changing slowly, evolving in stages. Even their endings, though sometimes dramatic, are part of a long process, a final transformation rather than an abrupt disappearance. White dwarf stars, for example, are the quiet remnants of stars like our Sun. After exhausting their fuel, these stars shed their outer layers, leaving behind a dense, slowly cooling core. These remnants can persist for billions, even trillions of years, fading gradually into darkness. Neutron stars, formed from the collapsed cores of massive stars, are even more dense, incredibly compact, spinning rapidly, emitting beams of radiation that sweep through space. Some of them pulse with remarkable regularity, acting like cosmic clocks, marking time with steady precision. And black holes, perhaps the most mysterious objects of all, also evolve over time. Though they seem permanent, even they are not entirely unchanging. Over incredibly long timescales, they may slowly lose energy through a process known as Hawking radiation, gradually, almost imperceptibly. Everything changes, but slowly. Nothing in the Milky Way happens in a rush. Processes unfold across vast spans, giving the galaxy a sense of calm continuity. As your awareness softens, imagine observing the galaxy across time, watching as stars form, shine, and fade, as spiral arms shift gently, as clusters drift, as streams of stars stretch and disperse. But you are not watching in fast motion. You are experiencing it at its natural pace, where change is so gradual that it feels like stillness. This is the rhythm of the galaxy. A rhythm that does not demand attention, but invites quiet observation. Even the light we spoke of earlier carries time within it. When you see a distant star, you are seeing it as it was when its light began its journey. The farther away the star, the further back in time you are looking. In this way, the Milky Way is not just a structure in space, but a layered history, a collection of moments spread across distance. Nearby stars show you the recent past. More distant ones reveal deeper history. And beyond the galaxy, other galaxies show you even earlier stages of the universe. It is all there, quietly visible, if you know how to look. But there is no need to look closely now. Let these ideas soften, like distant lights fading into the background. As your thoughts continue to slow, you may notice that your sense of time begins to change as well. Minutes may feel longer, or shorter, less defined. The usual structure of time becomes less important, less noticeable. This is natural. Just as the galaxy moves beyond the scale of seconds and minutes, your mind can drift beyond them too, settling into something more open, more fluid. There is no schedule here. No need to measure anything. Only a gentle unfolding, moment by moment, breath by breath. As we drift further, imagine the future of the Milky Way, not in detail, but as a continuation of this slow process. Stars will continue to form, though at a gradually decreasing rate. Existing stars will evolve, some fading quietly, others ending in bursts of energy. The galaxy itself will change shape over time, influenced by its interactions with neighboring galaxies, especially the slow approach of Andromeda. Billions of years from now, the two galaxies will begin to merge, their structures blending, their stars redistributing into a new form. The spiral patterns may dissolve, replaced by a more rounded shape, a new galaxy, born from the quiet union of two. But even this is not an ending. It is simply another stage, another moment in the long timeline of the cosmos. And far beyond that, the universe itself continues to evolve, expanding, cooling, stretching into greater and greater scales of space and time. There is no need to follow it all. Just let the sense of vastness remain, soft, distant, calm. As your breathing continues, slow and steady, imagine time itself becoming like the galaxy, wide, open, unhurried. There is nothing pressing, nothing urgent. Only a gentle continuity, a quiet flow. You are here, in this moment, carried within something much larger, something that does not rush, does not demand, something that simply continues. Let that feeling deepen, like the darkness between stars. Let your thoughts become fewer, softer, more distant. And as we continue this journey, we will begin to drift into the subtle harmony of the Milky Way, the quiet balance between energy and stillness, motion and rest, a balance that exists everywhere, even now, within you. As the quiet continues to settle around you, and your thoughts become softer, slower, and more distant, we drift gently into the subtle harmony of the Milky Way, a balance so vast and so steady that it often goes unnoticed. Within the galaxy, there is a quiet interplay between motion and stillness, between energy and calm. Stars burn with immense power, releasing light and heat across space, yet from a distance, they appear as steady, unchanging points. Entire regions of the galaxy are filled with activity, formation, movement, transformation, and yet the whole remains peaceful, almost motionless to the eye. This balance is not accidental. It emerges naturally from the laws that govern the universe, from gravity, from motion, from the way energy flows and redistributes itself over time. Nothing is truly at rest, and yet everything feels still. As you breathe slowly, imagine this balance not as something distant, but as something you are already part of. Your body, too, is filled with processes, cells dividing, molecules moving, energy being exchanged. And yet, as you lie still, all of this activity blends into a sense of calm. The Milky Way is like that, but on a scale so large that its motion becomes invisible. Stars shine because of nuclear fusion, a process where lighter elements combine to form heavier ones, releasing energy. In the core of a star, this process is constant, ongoing, sustaining the star's light for millions or billions of years. But fusion does not happen chaotically. It is balanced by gravity. The inward pull of gravity compresses the star, increasing pressure and temperature, while the outward energy from fusion pushes back, preventing collapse. These two forces, gravity and energy, exist in a delicate equilibrium. If one were stronger than the other, the star would either collapse inward or expand outward uncontrollably. But in balance, the star remains stable, shining steadily. This balance can last for billions of years. And during that time, the star becomes a quiet anchor in the galaxy, a constant source of light and warmth, influencing everything around it. Some stars host planetary systems, worlds that orbit steadily, held in place by gravity, moving in predictable paths. These orbits are not random. They follow precise patterns, shaped by the same balance that governs the stars themselves. Even the orbits of galaxies around one another follow similar principles, motion balanced by gravitational attraction, forming structures that persist over time. As you continue to relax, imagine the Milky Way not just as a collection of objects, but as a system in harmony, each part moving in relation to every other, creating a pattern that is both complex and calm. There are regions where this balance becomes especially visible. In certain areas of the galaxy, stars move in resonant orbits, patterns where their motions align in subtle ways, creating long-lasting structures. These resonances can shape the distribution of stars, forming rings, gaps, or waves within the galactic disk. Though invisible to the eye, these patterns are part of the deeper structure, the hidden geometry of motion. There are also regions where energy is released more suddenly, such as in supernova explosions. These events disrupt the local balance, sending shockwaves outward, redistributing matter and energy. And yet, even these disruptions become part of a larger equilibrium. The energy spreads, dissipates, integrates into the surrounding medium. Over time, calm returns. The galaxy absorbs change, without losing its overall stability. As your thoughts drift further apart, imagine this process, moments of intensity followed by long periods of calm. Not as something unusual, but as part of a natural rhythm. Even within your own experience, there are moments of activity, of thought, of emotion, followed by moments of quiet. Over time, these fluctuations settle into patterns, into a kind of personal equilibrium. You do not need to control it. Like the galaxy, your system finds balance naturally, given time, given space. As we drift through the Milky Way, we begin to notice another layer of harmony, the way energy flows between different parts of the system. Stars emit radiation, which travels outward, interacting with gas and dust. This energy can heat nearby regions, influence the formation of new stars, shape the structure of nebulae. In turn, these regions may give rise to new stars, continuing the cycle. Nothing is isolated. Energy moves, transforms, redistributes, always seeking balance. Even the temperature of space reflects this. While individual stars are incredibly hot, the space between them is cold, extremely cold. But this contrast creates gradients, differences that allow energy to flow. Without these differences, nothing would change. And yet, the changes are slow, gentle, unfolding over vast timescales. As your breathing becomes even more subtle, imagine yourself resting within this balance, not at the center, not at the edge, but simply within it. There is no need to move, no need to act. Everything is already in motion, already unfolding. The Milky Way does not try to maintain its balance. It does not adjust itself consciously. It simply follows the laws that govern it, and from that, balance emerges. In the same way, your body does not need constant direction. Your breath continues. Your heart continues. Your mind, when allowed to soften, begins to settle on its own. There is a natural tendency toward equilibrium, toward calm. As we move gently onward, the galaxy continues its slow rotation, its stars following their paths, its structures maintaining their form. From a distance, it appears unchanged. But within, everything is flowing, everything is part of a quiet, continuous process. Let that idea become softer, less defined. Let it fade into a feeling rather than a thought. A feeling of being carried, gently, steadily, within something vast and balanced. And as we continue, we will drift into the final layers of this journey, exploring the quiet fading of light, the cooling of stars, and the long, gentle future of the Milky Way, where everything slows even further, and the calm becomes deeper still. As the calm deepens and your awareness drifts further into stillness, we continue gently onward, into the far future of the Milky Way, a time not marked by urgency or change, but by gradual quieting, a slow fading of light across unimaginable spans. The galaxy, as it exists now, is filled with active stars, many still forming, many still burning steadily. But this will not always be the case. Over billions of years, the supply of cold gas, the raw material needed to create new stars, will begin to diminish. Star formation will slow. Not suddenly, not in any dramatic way, but gradually, like a gentle dimming. Fewer new stars will ignite. The bright, blue stars that live fast and burn intensely will become less common. The galaxy will begin to age. What remains will be longer-lived stars, smaller, cooler, red dwarfs that burn their fuel slowly, steadily, for trillions of years. These stars are quiet and persistent, their light soft and constant, far less intense than larger stars, but far more enduring. In this distant future, the Milky Way will still shine, but differently. Its light will be calmer, dimmer, composed mostly of these long-lived stars, scattered gently across space. The bright nebulae we imagined earlier, the glowing regions where stars are born, will become rare. Without new stars forming in large numbers, those luminous clouds will fade, their gas either consumed or dispersed. The galaxy will grow quieter. As you continue to relax, imagine this slow transition, not as something to resist, but as part of a natural process. Everything that begins, changes. Everything that shines, eventually softens. And yet, nothing is truly lost. The stars that have already formed will continue their long lives. Red dwarfs, in particular, are incredibly stable. Some are expected to shine for trillions of years, far longer than the current age of the universe. Their light will persist, quiet and unwavering. White dwarfs, the remnants of stars like our Sun, will continue to cool. At first, they glow faintly, still holding the heat of their former life. But over immense stretches of time, they will radiate that heat away, becoming darker, colder, eventually turning into what are sometimes called black dwarfs. These objects, though no longer luminous, still exist, dense, quiet, remnants of what once was. Neutron stars, too, will gradually slow their rotation, their pulses becoming less frequent, their energy fading over time. Black holes, though more resistant to change, will also evolve slowly, perhaps over unimaginable timescales, through processes we are only beginning to understand. In this far future, the Milky Way will not disappear, but it will become more subtle. Its activity will lessen. Its brightness will soften. Its processes will slow. It will become a quieter place. As your thoughts grow more distant, imagine drifting through this future galaxy, where the sky is darker, the stars fewer, but the calm even deeper. The sense of space is greater. The silence is more complete. There is no rush here. No urgency. Only a slow, continuous presence. Even the motion of stars will continue, though gradually altered by long-term interactions. Over vast timescales, gravitational encounters between stars can change their paths slightly, causing them to drift into new orbits. Some stars may be ejected from the galaxy entirely, sent into intergalactic space through gentle gravitational interactions. These stars will travel alone, far from any galaxy, carrying their light into the deep darkness between structures. And yet, even in that isolation, they will continue to shine, for as long as their fuel allows. As you rest, imagine one of these stars, drifting slowly away from the Milky Way, its light growing fainter as distance increases. Behind it, the galaxy becomes smaller, a soft, distant glow. Ahead, there is only darkness, vast, open, calm. And still, the star continues, steady, unhurried. There is something peaceful in that image, not loneliness, but simplicity. A single point of light, moving quietly through an immense and silent space. As the universe itself continues to expand, galaxies will drift further apart. The space between them will grow, stretching light, softening its energy. Over time, distant galaxies will become harder to see, their light redshifted into wavelengths beyond visibility. The universe will become darker. But this darkness is not empty in a negative sense. It is simply space. Calm, open, still. Within that space, remnants of galaxies, stars, and structures will continue to exist, slowly evolving, slowly cooling. Time, in this far future, becomes even more expansive. Trillions of years pass, then trillions more. Change continues, but at an ever-decreasing pace. Everything moves towards stillness. As your breathing becomes softer, almost imperceptible, like your mind drift into this deep future, not as something distant or unfamiliar, but as an extension of the same calm we have been exploring all along. The Milky Way, once bright and active, becomes quiet and dim. The stars, once numerous and varied, become fewer, steadier. The processes, once dynamic, become slow and subtle. And through it all, there is no disruption, no sudden end, only a gentle continuation. You do not need to follow every detail. Let the idea of time stretch, widen, soften. Let it become less like a sequence, and more like a quiet presence, something that simply exists, without pressure. Your thoughts, too, can follow this pattern, becoming slower, less frequent, fading gently, like distant starlight. There is no need to hold on to them. Let them drift, let them dim, let them settle into the background. And as we continue toward the final moments of this journey, we will allow everything to become even softer, even quieter, as the galaxy, the light, and the sense of time itself gently fade into a deep, peaceful stillness. As everything softens further, and your awareness drifts closer to the quiet edge of sleep, we continue, not by moving forward, but by allowing everything to become lighter, slower, more distant. The Milky Way, which once felt vast and filled with countless details, now begins to feel simpler. Not because anything has disappeared, but because there is no longer a need to hold on to every part of it. The stars are still there, the structures remain, but they settle into the background, like a gentle glow behind closed eyes. In this quiet state, the galaxy becomes less of a place to explore, and more of a presence, something that surrounds you without asking anything in return. Imagine the Milky Way now as a soft field of light, not sharp, not defined, just a calm, diffuse brightness stretching endlessly in all directions. The spiral arms are no longer distinct. The center is no longer bright. Everything blends into a smooth, continuous expanse. There is no need to focus. Your awareness can simply float gently, without direction. Even the idea of distance begins to fade. Earlier, we spoke of light years, of vast separations between stars and galaxies. But now, those distances lose their importance. Whether something is near or far does not matter. Everything feels equally soft, equally present. Time, too, becomes less defined. Moments no longer need to be measured. There is no past to follow, no future to anticipate. Only a quiet, continuous now, stretching gently, without edges. In this state, the Milky Way is not something separate from you. It is not something to observe or understand. It is simply part of the same stillness, the same quiet space in which your thoughts are slowly dissolving. The stars, which once carried stories of formation and motion, now become simple points of light, then softer still, until they are no longer points at all, but a faint, even glow. Like light seen through a veil. Your breathing continues, slow and natural, rising and falling without effort. Each breath feels a little deeper, a little more relaxed. There is no need to control it. It finds its own rhythm, just as everything else does. The galaxy, in all its complexity, does the same. It does not try to exist. It simply does. And in this moment, you are the same. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to understand. Only rest. As your mind drifts further, imagine the last few stars fading gently into the background. Not disappearing suddenly, but dimming slowly, like embers cooling after a long, quiet fire. Their light becomes softer, warmer, more distant, until it blends completely into the surrounding darkness. But this darkness is not empty. It is calm, spacious, peaceful. It is the kind of darkness that allows rest, that holds everything gently, without pressure. Within this space, there is no distinction between the galaxy and the void. Everything becomes part of the same quiet presence, a stillness that does not end, does not begin, simply exists. Even the idea of the Milky Way can now drift away. There is no need to keep it in mind. Let it fade, gently, like a thought that has served its purpose. Let everything become softer, quieter, more distant. Your body feels heavy, supported, completely at rest. Your mind feels light, open, drifting without direction. There is no effort here. No movement that needs to happen. Only a gentle settling, deeper and deeper into calm. If a thought appears, let it pass, like a faint ripple across a still surface. It does not need to stay. It does not need to be followed. It can simply fade. As everything continues to quiet, imagine yourself floating in this soft darkness, not falling, not moving, just resting in place. There is no up, no down, no sense of direction at all. Only stillness. The kind of stillness that exists between stars, between galaxies, in the deepest parts of the universe. And in that stillness, there is peace. Not something to reach for, not something to create, but something that is already there, waiting quietly beneath everything else. Your breathing slows even more. Your thoughts grow fewer, softer, more distant. The last traces of the galaxy have faded now, leaving only a gentle, infinite calm. And within that calm, you rest. There is nothing left to follow. Nothing left to imagine. Only this quiet space, steady, soft, and endless. And as you continue to drift, even this awareness can begin to fade, gently, naturally, like everything else. Carried softly into sleep. And still, in this quiet, almost weightless state, where thoughts have softened and space feels endless, something remains, not as an idea, not as an image, but as a very gentle presence. Not the bright Milky Way we once imagined, not the countless stars or distant structures, but something simpler, something quieter. A sense of being within space. Even when the stars have faded, even when the shapes and distances no longer matter, the universe does not disappear. It becomes subtle, almost transparent, like a calm that continues without needing to be seen. In this softness, you may begin to notice that the idea of outer space and inner space are no longer so different. The vast distance between stars, and the quiet space between your thoughts, begin to feel similar. Both are open. Both are still. Both allow things to exist without pressure. There is no boundary you need to find. No edge to reach. Just a continuous, gentle presence, stretching without effort. If a faint image returns, perhaps a distant glow, or a soft suggestion of light, you can let it drift there quietly. It does not need to become clear. It does not need to form into anything specific. It can remain soft, undefined, like the memory of a star rather than the star itself. The universe, even in its most active moments, is mostly space. Vast, open regions where nothing presses, nothing crowds, where everything has room to simply be. And now, your mind mirrors that. There is more space between thoughts. More quiet between moments. Even your sense of self may feel lighter, less fixed, more like something gently floating than something solid. This is not something unusual. It is simply what happens when everything begins to settle. When the constant movement of attention slows, and the deeper stillness becomes more noticeable. Imagine, if you like, that somewhere far away, beyond where we once traveled, there is still a faint trace of the Milky Way. Not bright, not detailed, just a soft suggestion of light, barely there. It does not demand to be seen. It simply exists, quietly. And even that faint trace can continue to fade, slowly, naturally, without effort. There is no need to hold on to it. Just as there is no need to hold on to any thought, any image, any sensation. Everything can come and go at its own pace. The universe does not resist this. Stars form and fade. Galaxies grow and change. Light appears and softens into darkness. And all of it happens without tension, without urgency, without resistance. As your breathing continues, slow and gentle, notice how natural it feels, how it does not require control. Each inhale rises softly, each exhale falls away, like a quiet wave returning to still water. There is nothing to manage, nothing to adjust. Everything is already happening as it should. And within that, you are safe to rest. The Milky Way, the stars, the vast scales of time and distance, all of it has led here, not to a conclusion, but to a quiet simplicity. A place where nothing more is needed. Where the mind can loosen its grip on detail, and simply float. If any remaining thoughts appear, about the galaxy, about the journey, about anything at all, let them be like distant echoes. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to complete them. They can remain unfinished, and gently fade. This is the same way light fades across distance. the same way stars dim over time. Nothing forced, nothing abrupt, only a gradual softening. And as that softening continues, even the sense of listening, of following a voice, may begin to blur. Words become less distinct, more like a rhythm than a meaning. That is okay. You do not need to hold on to the words. You can let them pass, like everything else. There is only this calm, this open, quiet space, this gentle drifting, and within it, rest. No edges, no boundaries, no need to return anywhere. Just a soft, continuous presence, holding everything lightly. And as you drift even deeper, the last faint traces of thought can begin to dissolve, leaving only stillness. A stillness as vast as the galaxy once was, but now even quieter, even softer, even more at peace. And now, even deeper into this softness, where words begin to lose their edges and meaning becomes something gentle and distant, we continue, not by moving forward, but by allowing everything to become lighter, quieter, more still. There is no longer a clear sense of traveling through the Milky Way. The galaxy, with all its stars and structures, has softened into something almost dreamlike, a memory of vastness rather than something defined. And yet, its presence remains, not as an image, but as a feeling of space, a feeling of calm, a feeling of something that does not need to be understood to be real. In this quiet state, the universe no longer feels far away. It does not stretch out into unreachable distances. Instead, it feels close, almost internal, like the same stillness that exists within you. The stars we once described, their light, their motion, their long lifespans, all of it now blends into a soft background presence. Not gone, just no longer needing attention. Like distant waves that you can hear without listening. Or like the faint warmth of sunlight through closed eyes. Everything is still there, but nothing asks to be followed. Your breathing continues, slow and natural, perhaps even softer now, almost as if it is part of the same rhythm as this quiet space. There is no effort in it. No control. Just a gentle rise and fall. In and out. Like the slow motion of the galaxy itself. Even though the Milky Way turns across hundreds of millions of years, even though stars orbit and light travels endlessly, from here, from this place of rest, it all feels still. And that stillness is what remains. Imagine, if you like, a very soft glow, not bright, not defined, just a faint presence of light in the distance. It could be the memory of the galaxy, or simply the idea of it. You don't need to decide. It can stay undefined. It can remain soft. And as you rest, even that glow may begin to fade, slowly, gently, becoming less distinct, less noticeable. There is no need to hold on to it. Let it drift, like everything else. The mind, when it relaxes deeply, begins to release its need to define things. It no longer separates one idea from another so clearly. Edges blur. Boundaries soften. And this is natural. It is not something you need to guide. It happens on its own, just as stars form and fade on their own, just as the galaxy moves without effort. In this state, even the idea of you can feel lighter, less fixed, more like a quiet awareness than something solid. there is still presence, still a sense of being, but without tension, without weight. Just a gentle awareness resting in space. The Milky Way, in all its vastness, once seemed almost overwhelming in scale. Billions of stars, immense distances, endless time. But now, none of that feels overwhelming, because there is no need to hold it all at once. It can simply exist, quietly, in the background. And you can simply rest, quietly, within it. There is no difference, in this moment, between the calm of the galaxy and the calm within you. Both are still. Both are open. Both are free of urgency. If a thought arises, perhaps something small, something unrelated, it can pass just as gently as everything else has. It does not need to stay. It does not need to be completed. Like a faint star appearing briefly, and then fading again. Nothing is held. Nothing is resisted. Everything moves through, softly, naturally. The universe itself does not cling to its past. Stars do not hold on to the energy they release. Light does not return once it has traveled onward. Everything flows, in one direction, gently, without effort. And your thoughts can do the same. There is nothing to return to. Nothing to solve. Nothing to follow. Only this quiet moment, stretching softly, without edges. As your awareness continues to drift, even the sense of time becomes less clear. It is no longer important how long you have been here, or how long you will remain. There is only this, now. A calm, open now, without pressure. Without expectation. Your body feels heavy, deeply relaxed, supported by whatever surface holds you. There is no need to move. No need to adjust. Everything is already comfortable. Everything is already enough. The last traces of the galaxy, of stars, of light, of motion, have now softened into something almost imperceptible. Not gone, but so quiet that they no longer stand apart from the stillness. They are part of it. Just as you are. And in this shared stillness, there is nothing left to do. Nothing left to think. Nothing left to imagine. Only rest. Deeper and deeper into calm. Let everything continue to fade at its own pace. Let the silence grow gently, naturally. And allow yourself to drift fully into that quiet, endless space. And now, even deeper into this quiet unfolding, where the last fragments of structured thought begin to dissolve, we continue, not by adding anything new, but by letting everything become more spacious, more open, more still. There is no longer a clear sense of direction. Earlier, there was a journey, through stars, through light, through the great spiral of the Milky Way. But now, even that sense of movement begins to fade. There is nowhere to go. No path to follow. Only a gentle, endless presence. The galaxy, with all its immense scale, has softened into something almost imperceptible. Not gone, never gone, but no longer something that requires attention. It rests quietly in the background, like a distant memory that no longer asks to be recalled. And in its place, there is space. Not empty in a cold or distant way, but open, calm, allowing. the kind of space where nothing presses against anything else, where everything has room to simply exist. This is the same space that exists between stars, between galaxies, and now, between your thoughts. As your breathing continues, slow and effortless, notice how natural it feels to let go of detail. You don't need to picture anything clearly. You don't need to hold on to any image of the Milky Way, or of light, or of time. Everything can remain soft. Everything can remain undefined. Imagine, if you like, that you are no longer observing the universe from a distance, but resting within it, without separation. Not as a body moving through space, but as awareness itself, quiet, still, without edges. There is no boundary between you and the vastness we've been exploring. Because at this level of calm, boundaries lose their meaning. The same atoms that exist in distant stars once existed in clouds of gas, before that, in earlier stars, before that, in the earliest moments of the universe. Everything is part of the same continuous unfolding. And now, none of that needs to be understood. It can simply be felt, as a quiet connection, or even softer than that, as a kind of neutrality, a calm absence of separation. The Milky Way, in all its beauty, is not something outside of you. It is something you are already part of. But even that idea can now fade. Because there is no need to define the connection, only to rest within it. Your thoughts are slower now, more distant. They arise gently and dissolve just as gently, like faint ripples on a surface that is becoming more and more still. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to complete them. They can remain unfinished and drift away. Just like light traveling across space, not needing a destination, simply moving until it fades. The universe itself does not hold on to structure forever. Galaxies form, evolve, change, and eventually soften. Stars ignite, shine, and slowly dim. Everything moves towards simplicity. And now, your awareness is doing the same. Simplifying, softening, letting go. There is no effort required, no technique, no control, only a natural settling. As if gravity itself, not the physical gravity of stars, but a kind of gentle inner gravity, is allowing everything to sink into stillness. Your body feels heavier now, more relaxed, as if it is gently supported from below. There is no tension, no need to adjust. Even small sensations, like the position of your hands, or the weight of your head, fade into the background. They are still there, but they no longer matter. Just like the distant stars, everything continues, but nothing demands attention. And that is where rest begins to deepen. Imagine now, not a galaxy, not stars, but a vast, soft darkness. Not empty, not cold, but calm. A darkness that feels safe. That feels like it is holding everything gently, without pressure. This is the same darkness that exists between stars, the same quiet space that allows the universe to be as vast as it is. Without it, there would be no room for anything. And now, that same openness exists within your awareness. There is more space between thoughts, more quiet between moments. Even the sense of time is fading further. You are not waiting for anything, not anticipating anything, just resting. The rhythm of your breath becomes slower, softer, almost blending into the stillness. In and out. Each breath slightly deeper into calm. There is no need to notice every breath. It continues on its own. Like everything else, the Milky Way continues its slow rotation. Stars continue their silent paths. Light continues its endless journey. And you continue resting. No effort. No direction. Only a gentle drifting. As your mind settles even more, words themselves may begin to feel less important. They may blur together, becoming more like a soft sound than something to understand. That is okay. You don't need to hold on to meaning. You can let the sound pass, like a distant echo. Like wind moving softly through an open space. There is nothing to follow. Nothing to keep. Everything can pass. Everything can fade. And what remains is stillness. Deep, quiet, unchanging stillness. Not empty, but full in a very subtle way. A calm that does not need anything added to it. A rest that does not need to be earned. It is already here. You are already within it. And as this continues, even the awareness of resting may begin to fade. Not suddenly. Not completely. But gently. Like everything else has. Drifting deeper into quiet. Deeper into softness. Deeper into sleep. As the quiet continues to deepen, and your body settles more completely into stillness, we return, gently, to the Milky Way itself. Not sharply, not abruptly, but like a distant image slowly coming back into soft focus, just enough to be felt, not enough to disturb the calm. Far out along one of its quiet spiral arms, the kind we once drifted through, stars continue their steady motion. Even now, nothing has stopped. The galaxy has not paused. It has simply continued, slowly, exactly as it always has. Our Sun, along with its small family of planets, continues orbiting the center of the Milky Way at a speed of about 828,000 kilometers per hour. It sounds fast, almost impossibly fast, and yet there is no sensation of movement. No wind. No shift. Only stillness. That is because everything around us is moving together. The Earth orbits the Sun. The Sun orbits the galaxy. The galaxy itself moves through space. And yet, from within, it all feels calm. Stable. Quiet. Motion, when shared, becomes invisible. And so, even as you rest, you are part of this movement, carried gently through the galaxy without effort, without awareness, without any need to respond. Within the Milky Way, stars are not evenly spread. Some regions remain densely packed, especially toward the galactic center, while others, like the outer arms, are more sparse, more open. In these quieter regions, the average distance between stars can be several light years. To understand that distance, if our Sun were reduced to the size of a small marble, the nearest star would still be kilometers away. Space, even within a galaxy, is mostly empty. And yet, it does not feel empty. Because even that emptiness contains something, a thin presence of particles, fields, radiation, a quiet structure that allows everything else to exist. In these outer regions, stars like our Sun are relatively common. Medium-sized, stable, burning hydrogen slowly over billions of years. These stars are considered ideal for long-term planetary systems because their energy output is steady. Not too intense. Not too unstable. Just enough to allow balance. Around many of these stars, planets form within rotating disks of dust and gas. Over time, gravity pulls particles together, forming larger bodies, which collide, merge, and grow. This process, known as accretion, is slow, sometimes taking tens of millions of years. And yet, from that slow accumulation, entire worlds emerge. Rocky planets, gas giants, icy bodies drifting at the edges of their systems. Some of these planets remain lifeless, quiet spheres of rock or gas. Others may develop atmospheres. Some may hold liquid water, if conditions are just right. In the Milky Way alone, scientists estimate there may be tens of billions of Earth-like planets, worlds within a range where temperatures could allow liquid water to exist. Not confirmed life, but possibility. And that possibility exists quietly, scattered across the galaxy. In systems that will never be seen directly, only inferred through subtle changes in starlight. When a planet passes in front of its star, it causes a tiny dip in brightness. From that small change, astronomers can detect entire worlds. Even from great distances, small patterns reveal larger truths. As you continue to rest, imagine one of these distant systems. A quiet star, dimmer than the Sun, surrounded by planets moving in slow, predictable paths. No noise. No urgency. Just motion, repeating, steady. This is the natural state of the galaxy. Not chaos. Not disorder. But quiet repetition, across enormous scales. Some stars, however, are not alone. Many exist in binary or even triple systems. Two stars orbiting each other, sometimes very close, sometimes far apart. In certain cases, their gravitational interaction can create complex dynamics. If one star expands into a red giant, it may begin transferring material to its companion. This can create bursts of energy, sudden increases in brightness, known as novae. But even these events, though energetic, are temporary. The system returns to balance. Again and again, the galaxy demonstrates the same pattern. Disturbance, followed by calm. Change, followed by stability. And always, slow. Nothing in the Milky Way happens quickly on a human scale. Even supernovae, which seem instantaneous, are the result of millions of years of buildup. As your awareness softens further, you no longer need to track these details closely. Let them pass through you, like distant signals, interesting, but not demanding. The galaxy does not require your attention to continue. It moves, whether observed or not. There are also regions in the Milky Way where stars have already ended their lives. White dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes drift silently through space, often invisible unless interacting with something nearby. A neutron star, for example, can spin dozens or even hundreds of times per second. Some emit beams of radiation that sweep across space like a lighthouse. When aligned with Earth, these appear as pulses, steady, precise. So precise, in fact, that they are used as cosmic clocks. Even in the remnants of stars, there is order. Even in collapse, there is structure. Black holes, too, exist throughout the galaxy, not just at the center. Smaller black holes, formed from the collapse of massive stars, drift quietly through the Milky Way. They do not pull everything in. Only objects that come very close are affected. Otherwise, they simply exist, part of the system, silent, stable. As you drift deeper into calm, imagine the galaxy again, but now not as something overwhelming, but as something balanced. A system of motion and stillness, of formation and fading, of energy and quiet, all happening at once, and all of it slow. Your breathing continues, steady, almost blending into the background. In and out. There is no need to follow every word now. No need to hold on to every idea. Let them pass. Let them fade. Like light traveling across space, gradually losing intensity, becoming softer, quieter. The Milky Way remains. The stars remain. But your awareness no longer needs to reach them. It can rest. Here. In stillness. In quiet. In the same calm that exists between the stars. And as that calm deepens, everything continues to soften. Further and further towards sleep. As the calm continues to deepen, and your thoughts move more slowly, more quietly, we remain here, gently drifting within the Milky Way, not as observers trying to understand it, but as part of its quiet, continuous existence. Even now, the galaxy has not changed its rhythm. It still turns, slowly, steadily, completing its vast rotation over hundreds of millions of years. The spiral arms remain, not as fixed structures, but as patterns that persist through motion, like waves that move through water without the water itself needing to stay in place. Stars enter these arms, linger, and then drift away again, continuing their orbit. Nothing is held. Nothing stays in one place forever. And yet, the structure remains. That is one of the quiet truths of the Milky Way. Stability does not come from stillness, but from balance within motion. As you continue to rest, imagine one of these spiral arms again, but now, softer, less defined. A wide, gentle arc of light stretching across space. Within it, stars of many different ages coexist. Some are very young, only a few million years old, still surrounded by faint remnants of the clouds that formed them. These stars often shine brightly, sometimes with a slightly bluish tone, indicating higher temperatures. Others are older, like our Sun, stable, consistent, burning hydrogen at a steady rate. These stars form the quiet majority of the galaxy's visible light. And then there are the oldest stars, some over 10 billion years old. Many of these are found in the galactic halo or in globular clusters. They formed when the universe itself was younger, when heavy elements were less common. Because of that, these stars contain fewer heavier elements like iron or carbon. Their composition tells a story, a record of earlier cosmic conditions. Even without visiting them, we can understand their history through their light. Light carries information, quietly, across vast distances. As your awareness softens further, imagine that light not as something bright or sharp, but as something gentle, like a soft glow that reveals without overwhelming. In the Milky Way, there are also regions where stars are moving together in large groups, known as stellar associations. These are looser than clusters, often made up of stars that formed from the same cloud but are now gradually drifting apart. Over time, gravity from the rest of the galaxy slowly disperses them. Even things that begin together slowly spread out. This happens on timescales of millions of years, far beyond immediate perception, but constant. Nothing remains fixed. And yet, nothing is lost. It simply changes form. As you drift deeper, imagine these stars moving apart, not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, gently, like particles in a calm current. There is no resistance, no effort, just motion. The same motion that carries everything in the galaxy. The same motion that, in a very different way, carries your thoughts, appearing, shifting, fading. There are also stars in the Milky Way that move at unusually high speeds. Some of them, called hypervelocity stars, travel fast enough to eventually escape the galaxy entirely. These stars are often accelerated by interactions with the supermassive black hole at the center, or through gravitational encounters in dense regions. Once set on their path, they continue, leaving the galaxy behind, moving into intergalactic space. And yet, even as they leave, they do not disrupt the galaxy. They simply become part of a larger structure, the space between galaxies. Again, nothing abrupt. Nothing chaotic. Just continuation. As your breathing becomes even softer, notice how natural it feels to let these ideas pass without holding on to them. You don't need to remember every fact. You don't need to track every detail. The galaxy does not require your memory to exist. It continues, regardless. And you can rest, regardless. Within the Milky Way, there are also magnetic fields, subtle, invisible structures that influence the movement of charged particles. These fields are not strong in the way magnets on Earth might be, but across vast distances, they help shape the behavior of cosmic rays and interstellar gas. Even in what seems empty, there is structure. Even in what cannot be seen, there is influence. And yet, all of this remains quiet. There is no sound in space. No vibration in the way we experience it. Only motion, only presence, only the gentle unfolding of physical laws. As your thoughts grow fewer, the need to define these processes fades as well. You don't need to visualize magnetic fields or stellar motions clearly. You can let them exist, softly, in the background. Like everything else. The Milky Way, in its entirety, contains between 100 and 400 billion stars. The exact number is still uncertain. Not because it is unknown in principle, but because the scale is so large that precise counting becomes difficult. And yet, whether it is 100 billion or 400 billion, does not change the feeling of vastness. It remains immense. It remains calm. It remains steady. And within that immense structure, our solar system continues its quiet path, unchanged by these large-scale uncertainties. The Earth continues to rotate. The sun continues to shine. And here, in this moment, you continue to rest. No urgency. No pressure. Only a gentle awareness, becoming softer. As we move toward the final part of this journey, the details of the galaxy begin to fade once more. Not because they are no longer there, but because your mind no longer needs to engage with them. They return to a quiet background presence. A soft, distant field of light. The structure remains, but it is no longer in focus. Your breathing is steady. Your body is heavy. Your thoughts are slow and fading. Like stars at the edge of the galaxy, becoming dimmer, more distant, until they are no longer distinct. There is nothing left to follow. Nothing left to explore. Only a gentle continuation of calm. And as that calm deepens even further, we begin to let everything soften once more, preparing to settle fully into rest, or even the idea of the Milky Way can quietly disappear into stillness. And now, as everything settles into its deepest calm, we allow the final layers of this journey to soften, gently, naturally, without effort. The Milky Way, which once stretched wide with detail and quiet complexity, now becomes something distant again, not far away in space, but far in attention. Its stars, its motion, its immense structure, all still exist, unchanged, but no longer needing to be followed. They remain, quietly, on their own. And you remain here, resting. The galaxy continues its slow rotation, just as it always has. Stars continue to orbit. Light continues to travel. Gravity continues its gentle work, shaping motion without ever being seen. Nothing has stopped. Nothing needed to. Because the purpose of this journey was never to reach an end, only to drift, slowly, until there was nothing left to hold. And now, there is almost nothing left. Only a soft awareness. Only a quiet sense of being. Even the idea of space begins to fade, not because space is gone, but because it no longer needs to be imagined. There is no need to picture distances, or stars, or galaxies. There is only stillness. A stillness as vast as the Milky Way once felt, but now even more gentle. Even more quiet. As your breathing continues, slow and steady, it becomes part of that stillness. No longer something separate, no longer something to notice closely. Just a rhythm, soft, continuous. In and out. Like a quiet echo of the larger motions we explored. The orbit of the Earth. The orbit of the Sun. The slow turning of the galaxy. All rhythms, nested within each other, now dissolving into a single, calm presence. There is no need to separate them anymore. Everything can blend. Everything can rest. If any last thoughts appear, small, faint, unfinished, they can pass without resistance. There is no need to follow them. No need to understand them. They are like distant stars now, too far away to be distinct, fading into the background. Let them go. Let them soften. Let them disappear. Your body feels heavy, deeply relaxed, completely supported. There is no tension left to release. No movement needed. Even the smallest muscles, around your eyes, your jaw, your shoulders, have softened. Everything is at rest. And your mind, now quiet, no longer searching, no longer forming clear shapes, begins to settle into something even deeper. Not sleep forced, not silence created, but a natural, effortless drifting. The Milky Way is still there, somewhere, continuing its endless motion. Stars are still forming, somewhere in its distant arms. Others are fading, cooling, becoming quiet remnants of what they once were. The galaxy is alive with process. But you do not need to follow any of it. You can let it all continue, without you. There is peace in that. A quiet permission to rest, while everything else carries on. Even the vastness of the universe does not require your attention. It exists fully, on its own. And so can you, in rest. The darkness now feels complete, but not empty. It is full in a very soft way, like a space that holds everything gently without needing to show it. A calm that does not ask for anything. A stillness that does not end. Your breathing becomes slower, softer, almost blending into nothing. There is no need to track it. No need to count. It continues, on its own. Like everything else. And now, even the sense of listening begins to fade. Words lose their shape. Meaning becomes less important. There is no need to understand what comes next. Because nothing needs to come next. This is enough. This quiet, open, endless stillness. If awareness remains, it is soft, barely there, like the faintest glow at the edge of darkness. And even that glow can fade. Gently. Naturally. Without effort. There is no boundary where wakefulness ends and sleep begins. Only a smooth transition, like drifting from one calm state into another, even deeper one. No edge. No moment. Just a gradual settling. Like the way stars fade over time. Like the way light softens across distance. Like the way the Milky Way itself, over billions of years, moves slowly toward quiet. Everything follows the same pattern. And now, so do you. There is nothing left to hold. Nothing left to follow. Nothing left to imagine. Only rest. Deep, quiet, complete rest. And as you drift further and further into that stillness, even this voice can fade, leaving only silence. And within that silence, sleep.